Arv Bennett had always believed his life would follow a simple rhythm. Wake up early, attend his university classes, return home to a quiet dinner with his parents, and spend the rest of the evening helping with the family shop in downtown Chicago. But everything changed the day he met her. The girl who walked like she owned the world yet smiled like she was afraid it might shatter. Her name was Lily Hart, a literature student who loved wearing pastel hoodies, always carried a sketchbook, and had a habit of tucking her hair behind her ear whenever she got nervous. And somehow, from the very first moment he bumped into her outside the campus library, he felt a strange pull towards her, something warm, magnetic, and entirely new. Their first conversation lasted only 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes replayed in his head for days. The way she laughed when he apologized for stepping on her notebook, the way her eyes softened when he complimented her doodles, the way she said "see you around" like she actually meant it. And when he did see her around the next day near the coffee shop, she smiled like she had been waiting for him, and that was the moment he realized that fate was already at work. Their friendship began quietly, naturally. They studied together in the library, shared snacks, exchanged playlists, and slowly learned each other's worlds. But soon, even the simplest moments felt electric. Their hands brushed while reaching for the same textbook. Their shoulders touched when they sat too close. They laughed at inside jokes no one else understood. And every time they said goodbye, both of them walked away with hearts beating just a little too fast. It wasn't long before those soft moments turned into something deeper. Something they both felt but were too shy to say aloud. Until one rainy evening when they found themselves huddled together under the same umbrella after class, laughing at how soaked they were. And without planning to, without thinking, Lily looked up at Arv with eyes full of feelings she could no longer hide. And he kissed her, gently at first, then with the warmth of someone who finally found the missing piece of his life. And from that moment on, they became inseparable, sneaking out for late-night milkshakes, sharing long hugs behind the arts building, holding hands whenever nobody was watching, and spending hours talking about dreams, fears, and futures that suddenly seemed brighter because they were imagining them together. Arv kept their relationship hidden not because he was ashamed, but because he was scared. Scared of how his traditional parents would react. Scared that they wouldn't understand that love doesn't always follow the rules, especially not the rules they grew up with. But secrets don't stay secrets forever, and one Saturday afternoon, everything changed when Arv came home smiling, still glowing from a beautiful date he had with Lily at Navy Pier, not realizing that he had left his phone unlocked. On the kitchen table, with photos of him and Lily laughing, hugging, and holding each other close. And when his father picked up the phone to move it, he saw everything. His mother found him standing still, staring at the screen with shock and confusion. And within minutes, both parents sat Arv down, asking gently but firmly, "Who is this girl?" Arv felt his heart race, fear tightening in his chest. But he also felt something stronger, love, and the courage that came with it. So with a deep breath, he told them everything. That he met her in college, that she made him happy in ways he couldn't explain, that she understood him in ways nobody else ever had, that he cared for her deeply, and that their connection was real, not a passing phase. His parents listened silently, exchanging looks he couldn't read, and for the first time in his life, Arv didn't know what his future looked like. He only knew one thing for certain: he wasn't ready to lose Lily. Little did he know that this moment, this confrontation, was only the beginning of a much bigger journey. A journey that would challenge their families, test their love, and ultimately lead them to a future neither of them could have imagined. Arv didn't know what scared him more: the look in his father's eyes or the silence that followed after he finished confessing everything about Lily, because it wasn't anger that filled the room. It was something else, something heavier, something that made the air feel too dense to breathe. His father sat back slowly, his hands folded, his expression unreadable, while his mother watched her son with sadness, worry, and perhaps the tiniest flicker of understanding. And in that moment Arv wished he could run back to campus, run to Lily, bury his face in her shoulder, and pretend this moment wasn't happening. But life didn't work like that. And families definitely didn't work like that when it came to love that crossed cultures, expectations, and the invisible borders parents draw around their children's futures. His father finally spoke, voice calm but firm. "Arv, we raised you with values, with a vision for your life." And the words cut deeper than shouting ever could. because Arav knew what that meant. They had always imagined a certain kind of daughter-in-law, someone from their community, someone familiar, someone predictable. And Lily wasn't any of those things. She was wild, artistic, emotional, unpredictable, the kind of girl who painted her feelings in watercolor and believed every love story deserved its own universe, and that difference made her beautiful to Arav, but terrifying to his parents. His mother reached for his hand gently and asked, "Does she make you happy?" And something inside him cracked because her voice wasn't angry. She genuinely wanted to understand, and that gave him the courage to speak with his heart instead of fear. He told them how she made him feel seen, how she understood him in ways he never thought possible, how she listened to him like his dreams mattered, how she laughed at his jokes and cried with him when he talked about his struggles, how she didn't care about his reputation or his background. She cared only about him, the real him. But his father wasn't ready to melt yet, and as he stood up, pacing slowly, he asked the question Arav had been terrified of. "Do you think her family will accept you?" And for the first time, Arav felt genuinely uncertain, not because he doubted Lily's feelings, but because he had never thought that far ahead. Their relationship had been built on the present, late-night talks, shy kisses, shared dreams, not on the complications of two families, two cultures, two expectations colliding. That night, tension lingered like fog in the Bennett house, and Arav retreated to his room. Heart aching, mind spiraling, and without thinking twice he grabbed his phone and called Lily, his voice trembling as he said, "They know," and Lily fell silent before whispering, "Do you want to come over?" And with those words he felt the world steady again. When he reached her apartment, she opened the door with eyes full of worry and arms ready to hold him, pulling him into the warm comfort of her living room filled with soft lights, half-finished drawings, and the scent of vanilla candles, and the moment she hugged him, he broke, tears he had held back all day finally spilling as she held him tighter, whispering, "It's okay. I'm here." They sat together on her couch, legs entwined, her fingers brushing his hair, and for a long moment, they didn't speak. They just existed in each other's presence, breathing the same quiet air, sharing the kind of silence that felt intimate instead of empty. When he finally explained everything, his father's disappointment, his mother's worry, the fear of being forced to choose between family and love, Lily listened without interrupting, her eyes soft but fierce, and when he finished, she cupped his face and said something that changed everything. "If we're going to build a future, we'll do it honestly, not in the shadows." Those words hit him hard because she was right. They had been sneaking around, hiding their love like it was something fragile. But love wasn't fragile. Loving her had made him stronger, braver, more alive, and hiding that truth felt wrong now. They decided to stop running from the conversation and face it together. The next day, Lily insisted they meet at a quiet park near the lake, a place where the wind carried the scent of water and children's laughter echoed in the distance. And when Arav arrived, she was already there, wearing a soft blue sweater, her hair tied loosely, her expression determined yet gentle, and she took his hand as if grounding him before saying, "We need to talk to them together." The idea terrified him, but the way she held his hand made him feel like he could walk through fire if she was beside him. But before they could plan anything, a sudden voice behind them said, "Arav?" And when they turned, they saw his father standing there, arms crossed, face stern but not angry. His father had followed him, curious, worried, maybe trying to understand who this girl really was, and the moment Lily saw him, she squeezed Arav's hand but didn't let go. His father studied the scene, their hands intertwined, their closeness, the way Arav stood slightly in front of Lily as if protecting her. And after a long, heavy silence, his father said, "So you're Lily," and the moment felt like the world had paused. Lily swallowed nervously but managed a respectful smile and introduced herself with calm grace, surprising Arav with her confidence. His father didn't soften, but something in his expression shifted. Maybe curiosity, maybe recognition that Lily wasn't just a passing crush, maybe the beginning of understanding. The three stood there under the fading sunlight, an unfinished conversation hanging in the air, and Arav realized that everything from this point forward was about to change. Their love story was no longer just between the two of them. It now involved families, expectations, fears, and courage. And part of him knew that this moment, the moment his father met Lily for the first time, was the true turning point of their journey. Arav felt his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears as his father stood in front of them, staring at Lily with an expression that neither welcomed nor rejected her, but carried a weight of unspoken questions. And Lily, despite her nervousness, held herself with a quiet dignity, her hand still gripping Arav's as if reminding him, "We're in this together." And for a long moment no one spoke, only the soft rustling of the trees and distant laughter of children filled the air. His father finally broke the silence with a calm, careful voice. "I didn't expect to find you here," and Arav, trying to steady his breath, replied, "I needed to talk to her." But his father's eyes were already studying Lily, not harshly, but analytically, like he was trying to understand what kind of girl had become so important to his son. Lily swallowed, then stepped forward slightly, offering a polite smile that didn't quite hide her nervousness, and said, "It's nice to finally meet you, Mr. Bennett," her voice soft but steady. Arav watched as his father nodded, not returning the smile but acknowledging the sincerity in her greeting. And then, almost unexpectedly, his father said, "Walk with me," and turned toward the lake path, forcing Arav and Lily to exchange a startled glance before following him. The walk felt like the longest of Arav's life. His father asked Lily about her studies, her family, her future, and Lily answered honestly. No show-off, no begging for approval, just genuine truth about who she was and what she wanted in life. And as she spoke, Arav could see his father's rigid posture slowly relaxing, his shoulders easing as if something about Lily's honesty disarmed him. When they reached the lake's edge, his father stopped and looked at Arav with a gaze that felt heavier than any lecture he had ever heard. "You are my only son," he began, voice thick with emotion. He rarely expressed, "I worry about the decisions you make. Not because I don't trust you, but because I want to see you build a stable, peaceful life." Arav felt a pang of guilt because he knew his father wasn't the villain. He was a man who grew up believing love should follow rules, boundaries, traditions, and now he was watching his son rewrite all those rules. Lily stepped closer to Arav, her presence calm and steady, and said gently, "I care about him, sir, and I want him to have a peaceful life too. I want to be part of that, not destroy it." Her voice trembled slightly at the end, not from fear but from sincerity, and Arav saw something flicker in his father's eyes. Recognition of her honesty. After a long pause, his father sighed deeply, looked at both of them and said, "I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no, but I need time." And those words, though not approval, felt like a small opening, a crack in the wall that had once felt impossible to break. Arav squeezed Lily's hand, relief washing over him, and Lily smiled, a soft, hopeful smile that made his heart feel lighter. When they returned home later, his mother was waiting anxiously, and the moment she saw them walk in together, understanding dawned on her face. She invited Lily inside, offered her tea, and within minutes the atmosphere shifted. His mother, warm and naturally gentle, found herself liking Lily almost instantly, asking about her hobbies, her family, her favorite foods, and Lily's cheerful answers filled the room with an energy that softened even the tension Arav felt lingering from earlier. His mother noticed the ease with which Lily spoke, the way she laughed softly, the way she respected their home, and for the first time, Arav saw hope reflected in his mother's eyes. After dinner, when Lily left, his mother turned to Arav and said, "She's sweet. I can see why you like her." And those words felt like a blessing he didn't expect so soon. But the real surprise came too. Days later, when Lily invited Arav to her own home. She wanted him to meet her parents too, explaining softly, "If your family is trying, mine should too." Her apartment was smaller, filled with art supplies, canvas boards leaning against walls, and the warm scent of cinnamon candles. Her parents, especially her mother, welcomed Arav with open arms, thrilled to finally meet the boy who had been making their daughter so happy. Her father was quieter, reserved much like Arav's father, but he asked thoughtful questions and listened carefully, and Arav, who had always been respectful and soft-spoken, managed to impress them with his maturity. The evening was warm, filled with laughter, comfort, and an ease that felt like the opposite of the tension at his own home. When they stepped outside after dinner, Lily hugged him tightly and whispered, "See, it's not just your fight. It's ours too." And that moment made him realize he was falling even deeper for her. But the real turning point came later that week during a family dinner at Arav's house, where his father, after days of silent thinking, finally addressed the topic again. The tension in the air was so thick Arav could barely swallow his food, until his father gently placed his fork down, looked at his wife, then at his son and said, "Arav, I've seen many things in life, but the way you look at her, if that's not real, then nothing is." His mother's eyes softened. Instantly, her hand sliding over her husband's in silent support, and Lily, overwhelmed, tried to hide her tears but failed. Arav grabbed her hand under the table, his heart soaring because he knew what this meant. Not complete approval, not a wedding announcement, but acceptance, a chance, a door opening. His father continued, "If you both are serious, then we will meet her family properly the right way." And his mother smiled warmly, saying, "Love should bring families together, not tear them apart." Lily covered her mouth to keep from crying, and Arav felt his world shift. This wasn't just his love story anymore. It was a love story big enough to soften two families, gentle enough to bring new hope, and strong enough to survive the fears that once threatened to break it. As the evening ended, Lily whispered to him outside, "We're going to make it," and he believed her with all his heart. After weeks of careful planning, delicate conversations, and quiet moments of reassurance, Arav and Lily found themselves navigating a space that was no longer just theirs. It had expanded to include families' expectations, and the subtle but intense pressure of approval. And although the tension still lingered in the corners of Arav's home, it was softened by the small victories. A smile from his mother, a nod from his father, laughter shared at dinner, and moments of private understanding with Lily where they reminded each other why they had fallen so deeply in love in the first place. It was in these moments, the quiet ones, that Arav felt the full weight and beauty of what they were building together. A love that was brave enough to stand up to judgment, tender enough to heal wounds, and passionate enough to make their hearts race every time their eyes met. One Saturday morning, Lily suggested they take a walk to the botanical gardens, a place where she had gone as a child with her parents and where she felt a connection to the world's quiet beauty. And Arav agreed, knowing that this would be another chance to strengthen their bond and face the unspoken pressures of life with courage. They walked hand in hand under archways of blooming flowers, colorful petals carpeting the stone paths, the sunlight filtering softly through leaves, and each time, their fingers entwined, a spark of reassurance passed between them, a reminder that whatever challenges awaited, they were stronger together. Conversations drifted from their daily routines to dreams for the future. Plans for college, aspirations for careers, the possibility of travel, and hints of the family life they hoped to create. And with every shared thought, the emotional intimacy between them deepened, reinforcing that their love was more than youthful infatuation. It was mutual respect, shared values, and a commitment to understanding each other fully, even when the world around them seemed uncertain. But love, Arav realized, was never just about private bliss. It was about courage, and courage would soon be required in the form of bridging two families, creating mutual respect, and proving that love could coexist with tradition. That evening, they returned home with hearts light but minds full, preparing for another dinner with his parents where, this time, the topic of the future would be unavoidable. Lily, understanding the gravity, helped Arav plan the conversation with careful words, humor and honesty, because love wasn't just about passion. It was about strategy, empathy, and the willingness to take risks together. The dinner began with polite conversation, laughter over small incidents from their week, and tentative compliments exchanged between Lily and Arav's mother. But soon the moment arrived when Arav's father leaned forward and asked in his steady, calm voice, "Have you thought seriously about what this means for your life?" Arav swallowed, feeling the weight of the question, and replied with conviction, "Yes, sir. Lily and I have thought about it together. Our love is serious, and we want to move forward responsibly." Lily added softly but firmly, "We want to honor both our families, respect your values, and build something strong." The sincerity in her voice, the clarity of her intentions, and the warmth she projected slowly chipped away at the last walls of skepticism in his father's eyes. The conversation became an exchange of hopes, concerns, and dreams rather than an interrogation. And Arav watched as his father's posture softened, the tension in his jaw easing as he began to see Lily not as an intruder in his son's life, but as a partner who brought genuine happiness. That night, after the family conversation, Arav and Lily retreated to the balcony of his room, the city. lights sparkling beneath them, casting a soft glow on their faces, and they talked about everything from college assignments to hypothetical future vacations. The air between them filled with laughter, gentle teasing, and tender glances. It was a reprieve from the challenges, a moment to remember why they had fallen in love and why every risk had been worth taking. Yet even in moments of joy, reality reminded them that the journey was ongoing. There would be more questions, more doubts from extended family, and tests of patience, but for the first time, Arav felt confident that they were ready to face them, not as individuals, but as a united pair, each one drawing strength from the other. The following weekend, Lily invited Arav to her family home for a weekend brunch, where the casual setting and warm hospitality contrasted sharply with the formality of his own parents' home. Her parents, seeing their daughter happy and grounded, began asking questions about his ambitions, his character, and the way he treated Lily, and Arav answered honestly, quietly proud that his words reflected not only his feelings, but also the values his own parents had instilled in him. Lily's younger brother peeked curiously at Arav, and Arav found himself laughing easily, feeling that rare ease of being accepted beyond romantic affection. And in that laughter, a deeper bond formed between him and Lily's family, a bridge being built one genuine conversation at a time. By the time the weekend ended, both families had begun tentative gestures toward mutual understanding. Arav's father called him later, voice softer than usual, saying, "We are not there yet, but I see her heart. I see why you care for her. That is the first step." Arav's mother, meanwhile, sent Lily a message with thanks and appreciation for handling their son with kindness and love. As Arav and Lily walked home hand in hand, the cool evening breeze swirling around them, they both knew that the hardest moments were behind them, but also that the journey of love was ongoing. It wasn't simply about private happiness anymore. It was about merging lives, nurturing family bonds, honoring traditions, and creating a future together while keeping the romance alive, the passion fresh, and the emotional connection unbreakable. They laughed softly, exchanged shy glances, and promised each other that no matter what came next, their hearts would remain intertwined. Because love wasn't about perfection. It was about persistence, understanding, and the courage to build a life that was bigger than the two of them. A love story that would withstand time, trials, and the tests of family, society, and their own insecurities. The months that followed were a journey unlike any Arav and Lily had ever imagined, filled with a mixture of nervous anticipation, quiet victories, and moments of profound connection. As they navigated the delicate dance of love intertwined with family, traditions, and dreams, every step forward was layered with the lessons they had learned together. The importance of honesty, patience, empathy, and unwavering support. And slowly but surely, the walls that had once divided their families began to crumble, brick by brick, as both sides witnessed the depth of their bond, the sincerity of their intentions, and the undeniable joy they brought to each other's lives. For it was impossible to ignore the way Arav's eyes lit up whenever Lily spoke, the gentle way he held her hand when words failed, or the soft, infectious laughter they shared during simple moments at home, in the park, or even while grocery shopping together, because their love had become the heartbeat of their everyday lives, radiating warmth, tenderness, and a sense of belonging that was as inspiring as it was magnetic. Preparations for their wedding were met with a mixture of excitement, nerves, and the occasional logistical headache, but Arav and Lily faced each challenge hand in hand, drawing strength from their shared vision of the day when not only they but also their families would come together in celebration. They decided on an elegant American-style wedding, a blend of tradition and modernity, with soft pastel decorations, floral arches, intimate gatherings, and vows that reflected both their personalities and the journey that had brought them here. A ceremony designed to honor love, commitment, and the families that had nurtured them. On the morning of the wedding, Arav woke to the gentle sunlight filtering through the curtains, casting a warm glow over his room as he dressed in a crisp suit, feeling a mixture of exhilaration, nerves, and profound gratitude, while across town, Lily prepared in a softly lit room filled with laughter and chatter, her gown flowing, her hair perfectly styled, and her heart beating with the same anticipation, for this was more than a ceremony. It was a celebration of persistence, love, and the courage to face challenges together. The moment Arav saw her walk down the aisle, a vision of poise, beauty, and radiant confidence, His heart swelled with emotion, the room around them fading into a blur as their eyes locked. And in that instant, all the trials, the late-night heart-to-hearts, the nervous family conversations, and the moments of doubt melted away, leaving only the clarity of their love and the promise of a shared future. Vows were exchanged with tears, laughter, and joy, words that captured their journey, the lessons learned, the dreams they held, and the depth of commitment they felt, as families watched with pride, hearts full of warmth and acceptance, realizing that love, genuine and honest, had the power to heal divisions, soften doubts, and unite hearts across generations. The reception that followed was a celebration of life and love, with soft music, gentle laughter, and moments of intimate connection interwoven with joyous dancing, speeches, and shared stories that made everyone feel part of something bigger than themselves. Ariv's father gave a heartfelt toast, acknowledging Lily not just as the woman his son loved, but as a daughter who had brought light, understanding, and laughter into their family, while his mother offered a warm embrace and whispered softly to Lily, "We are proud to have you with us." Lily's parents, equally moved, shared the same sentiments, ensuring that every moment was not just about the union of two individuals, but the blending of two families, cultures, and hearts into one harmonious celebration of love and commitment. As the night progressed, Ariv and Lily stole quiet moments away from the crowd, walking hand in hand under the starlit sky, laughing softly at whispered jokes, sharing gentle kisses, and feeling the deep satisfaction of a journey completed yet just beginning. For marriage was not the end of their love story. It was the continuation of a life built together, full of dreams, shared responsibilities, joys, and inevitable challenges, but anchored in mutual respect, admiration, and the unshakable bond they had nurtured from the first shy smiles, to late-night talks, to the courage of standing up for their love in front of families, proving that nothing could shake what was rooted in truth and passion. The evening ended with a slow dance, Ariv holding Lily close, their hearts synchronized, the soft music enveloping them, friends and family watching with joy, and in that embrace, all the struggles, doubts, and fears felt distant, replaced by the certainty that they had chosen wisely, loved deeply, and faced the world together, stronger than ever. And as the stars sparkled above, reflecting in the lake nearby, Ariv whispered, "This is just the beginning." And Lily smiled, resting her head against his chest, knowing that together, they would write countless chapters filled with love, adventure, tenderness, and joy, and that no matter what life brought, they had each other, their families had embraced them, and their hearts had found a home in one another, completing a story that had begun with chance encounters, courage, honesty, and the undeniable magic of love that truly conquers all.